What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Wars Exchange for another Mandalorian after show. It's been a long week. We've had a lot going on with Star Wars Celebration. Mike and I have been covering all sorts of news on the podcast, doing live streams, very heavily active on Instagram, a lot going on. It's been a good week for Star Wars. But Mike, how are you going? How are you pulling up from Celebration London? It was quite the event.
Yeah, definitely. I was on 2 hours of sleep for one day, and it was very interesting. I would do anything for Star Wars, and sometimes my sleep. Well, sometimes I don't care about it. Sometimes I do. One of those days, on the weekend of, didn't really care. So I was a zombie for the next couple days, but I still am. But I'm still thriving in the chaos of all the news and announcements, and it was just so fun doing the live streams with everyone and getting all of you guys to come in there and experience it with us, from the meltdown of the celebration announcement location to the crazy Ray reaction to our viewing of the Ahsoka trailer. It was just a lot of fun, and there's a lot of you that became our friends during that weekend. So while we weren't there at
Shut up, Matt.
celebration, shout out Matt, while we weren't there at celebration, it kind of felt like we had our own little celebration. So it was nice, and hopefully that becomes tradition around here. So when we're not able to go, so maybe Japan will be my the next live stream, but we'll see. But yeah, anyways, excited to talk about Mando. This is the penultimate episode, so yeah, I'm just keen to talk about the what is left of season 3 of the Mandalorian. But how you been going?
For sure, yeah. I mean, I echo what you say. It was a great weekend. I'm usually pretty pretty hectic with having a strict sleep schedule, and then London threw that all off for me. But no, it was worth it. It was a great fun, and it did feel a little bit like we were there because when it was over, I don't know how you pulled up, but for me, I was really really just upset. I just was real down bad, I suppose, as the kids are saying these days. So that next day was yeah, a little bit depressing, but that's that the post con blues, I suppose. But no, it was a great weekend. But yeah, we're here to talk about Mando episode 7. Obviously, me and Mike have a somewhat complicated relationship with the season so far. I've been pretty I don't want to say negative. I mean, I have been negative. I've been just quite critical of the season so far. This episode got very, very hyped up because a lot of people saw it in London Celebration. Was it overhyped? Was it not? Maybe we'll talk about that here. But yeah, this was a fun episode. But Mike, what did you think of episode 7, chapter 23?
Yeah, definitely. I would say probably the best episode of season 3. Like, I watched it the first time and I was like, I liked it, but I don't know how much I liked it. And then the second time I just rewatched it today, and I'm like, yeah, okay, definitely this is the best episode of the season. I thought there was actually substance in here, which you really can't say about most of the episodes this season. But I was like, okay, there's substance here, and we're finally getting a move to Mandalore and stuff. What seemed like it was already done, and with Din going to Mandalore, and we all thought that was gonna be his quest, but no, it was wrangling all these damn Mandalorians and getting them there. Even though it's like, why are you guys scared to go there? Like, no, you're telling me you guys are so devoted to your planet. You guys haven't. Din Djarin had to be the first one back, which is just crazy. Which, I mean, main character energy while he had it. But now it's like we're wrangling all the Mandalorians together to go to Mandalore, and once they land, they're like, what do we do now? We're here. It's like, yeah, they came with a semi-plan to take the planet, but it's like, who are you taking it back from? More alligators, more dragons. Like, it's really complicated. So, and as we see, the empire is there, but yeah, it's buffoonery all around. But I did really like the episode. Second time around, I'm like, okay, action sequences are cool. Love the action sequences with the jetpacks and stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. Feels a little bit more animated in a good way. Because I thought Rebels, the action sequences were a major step down from Clone Wars, but they were still good. And then when they try to do live action stuff, the TV shows, you were surprised by my comment. Do you agree or disagree?
I mean, I just will defend Rebels on every level, so it's not even worth having the conversation. But I
For
don't
sure.
think they were a step down, but valid opinion.
It was a step down. That's fact, everybody. No, I mean, One of the times I think of is the Sabine Darksaber episode, the one that follows it with Sabine's family, and they have like a jetpack
Mm,
war, and I'm just like,
that's
oh,
yeah,
if
actually,
Clone Wars
that's
did
fair.
this, compare that the Lawless to that, I'm just like, yeah, the Jetpack Action was greater in Clone Wars,
Those,
but
yeah.
that's okay. That's all right.
I will say that's like the Mandalore episodes at season 4. That's a fair criticism, but I thought the jetpack action in Zero Hour was really good.
Oh yeah, yeah. The one, I mean, yeah, the one in space, yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah,
But yeah, oh yeah, the I forgot about the premiere for season 4. That was, but anyways,
yeah,
so but still, I thought it was fairly done, just because, especially the pirate attack that happened a couple weeks ago, that was some clunky action. So kind of appreciative here. Um, but I don't know, like it just, even though this is not the finale. Okay, so friend of the podcast, I guess, even though I don't think he'll ever be on, is Darth Deacon Aiden. I was I was out today and he called me and he was like, "What'd you think of it?" I was like, oh, "Man, this is what I told him." I said, like, it just feels like they took shortcuts in the season, all season long. They just took shortcuts and to get here to the penultimate episode. He's like, "Well, this isn't the finale." I'm like, "No, but I'm very scared to watch the finale because I don't think some things are gonna land. I feel like this is testing the waters for the finale." And I think a lot of these moments just feel so unearned. And Moff Gideon, I know we'll talk about later, but I'm like, what are you doing here now? Like, why all of a sudden are they showing you? Like, they had this whole cool tease towards you, and I thought we would really get to follow you and see what, I mean. Just, it just feels like this show has ultimately undone a lot of things that the season 2 finale did, and it's just so frustrating because we all thought that that was such a, imagine if, I mean, I don't know if it's comparable to any of the Rebels finales in terms of like, I mean, well, I kind of felt this from season 2, Twilight of the Apprentice. It felt like, oh my god, they're teasing this Ezra dark side thing, and then it was resolved like in the next few episodes of season 3, one of the first. But there was still a lot of baggage from that they carried on and they didn't undo, which I respect
yeah,
them for. There were still tons of threads, like Kanan being blind, and they explored the hell out of the storyline, which I loved. You know, it's like, man, it just gave Kanan as like, yep, this is my favorite Star Wars character. So anyway,
yeah,
they just like, they could have gone really heavy into some of these storylines that season 2 set up the finale, but they just unwinded everything. Like, no, let's hit the reset button. Let's recoil.
yeah,
It's like, for what? We had story, we had movement. The same way
yeah,
people complained that The Last Jedi undoes Force Awakens, which not at all. I
yeah,
think this is the major complaint here. This is a great
yeah.
example of
Real
undoing your
quick,
story.
I think there's 3 major things that it's undone just while we're talking about it. Number 1, Din having the dark saber, undone by the 6th episode. Moff Gideon going to prison, undone by the 7th episode. Grogu and Mando being separated, undone in the Book of Boba Fett before the season even started. I remember when Mando season 2 finished and we got that premiere. Those were the things everyone was talking about. Oh, I can't wait to see this. Can't wait to see Gideon in prison, like Hannibal Lecter style. I wonder how Din's going to deal with Grogu. And while we did get to see that, it wasn't even in the actual show. And then, is Din going to rule Mandalore with the dark saber? While the direction they've gone with that isn't like they haven't completely just taken it away. I mean, they have in one sense. It's just not really what they set up, which was something we were looking forward to. I think.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, in all, I very much enjoyed this episode. It was kick butt action and all that, and a lot of the stuff I loved. The music was great, but man, oh man, it just feels like it just. I should be excited and I should feel for the moments here,
Mm,
like Din getting captured. But I'm just like, why do I care about a side character getting captured? Like,
yeah,
why should I care?
yeah. Or
So I don't
Paz
mean to
Vizsla
sound,
dying.
yeah, exactly. Or Paz Vizsla. I'm like, the only thing I felt for him in that moment was, dude, you have a kid. That was it. That was it.
True.
That was
I
because the
honestly forgot
entire,
about that. Didn't think about it till you just brought it up.
I mean, even in that episode, like he was being such an idiot, like fighting over a chess piece, and I'm like, oh, like he is just
Yeah,
incarnate what everything is wrong with the Mandalorians, and it's just, and it's still Bo-Katan has like, Bo-Katan. We'll get into this later, but she is just, I think she is just insane. Like she just does not do anything differently in her time around. this time around, like, oh, let me reclaim the dark saber. It's like the same storyline with her, and it just feels so recycled. And instead of being in that moment, she told Jin was going to do something like, oh, we can't step in, we can't, either of us can't step in. I'm like, didn't you just complain about the Mandalorians not, there being a lot of animosity? It's like, you're the self-proclaimed leader, like trying to be, why don't you do something? Even when the Mandalorians were gathering on Navarro all together, the armor was the one that spoke up. It wasn't Bo-Katan being like, this is this, I was just with these people. These are my people. We're all one people. It was the armor who had to speak up. And it's just so frustrating to see. And people are just like, ooh, action. Oh my God. Imperial Commandos. Oh my God. Moff Gideon's back. Oh my God. The Admiral Thrawn
Yeah.
reference. And it's like, guys, there's a whole bunch of flaws in this, which if you just want
Yeah.
to dig your head in the sand, great. I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I've done that for a lot of Star Wars is like that. But it's just like, let's not act like this is the most explosive episode of the series,
Yeah.
and it's all
Yeah,
this
people
stuff.
saying it's the best episode of the series. I'm like, have you watched The Believer? Have you watched The Rescue? Have you watched The Child? Have you
Not
watched The
enough,
Sin? Like, I could just name so many
not
episodes off the
enough,
top of my head.
not enough lore for them, not enough
Yeah.
action.
People have
So
really short-term memory with some of this stuff as well.
yeah. So all in all, I really like the episode. Best one of the season. I'm like, I can't wait to watch this because I watched it on my laptop twice. I cannot wait to watch this on the big screen at my house and just turn, the surround system on and just go to town with it. I cannot wait. But
Yeah.
but I'm just trying to be real here. It's
Yeah.
great, but it's not. I'm not gonna put the shades on, the beer goggles, and just act like it's something that's not. So,
Yeah.
anyways. Your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean I'm pretty much on the same page of you where I thought the episode in its own bubble and its own existence is pretty good. I thought it was fun. I mean, in my personal opinion, I think it's been extremely overhyped. I don't think it's even close to the best episode of the series. And I'm not even sure if it's the best episode of the season, to be honest. But yeah, it was great fun. It was solid. I watched that and I thought that was pretty good. But yeah, I'm going to read what I tweeted out because I think this captures my thoughts in a nutshell. Chapter 23 was a fun episode on its own. Unfortunately, the lackluster setup we got left, unfortunately, the lackluster setup we got left the episode feeling unearned and had it fall flat for me as my emotional investment in the story and characters is almost non-existent. The season as a whole still feels like a hot mess to me. Season 3 continues to feel like watching someone play with their Star Wars toys that can certainly be fun times. However, I prefer a bit more depth and substance in a story like we got in season 1 and 2. And that's sort of adding on to what Mike was saying, where it's like, yeah, you can sit back, relax, and have fun with that. Absolutely no issues with that. And there's sometimes I do that. But for me, a story like Mandalorian, which has made me feel so many things, I sort of want it to either stay at that level or go even higher with it. And it's dropped down a great deal in terms of that emotional investment. Like Mike said, I don't really care that Din got captured because he's sort of been put on the bench this season. And I also didn't care that Paz Vizsla died. I was just like, great. I thought it was well done, the whole thing, and him giving that final, this is the way, in terms of, yeah, that is actually the way, sacrificing yourself for the greater good. That's a good rule to follow, not wearing your helmet every day. You know what I mean? Like, I thought that was well written, but because of everything that came before, I was just like, I don't care. My investment's not there. Um, that's just how it was for me. And yeah, any like moment that tries to feel like a big moment where like, yeah, this is happening, like Paz dying, it just, there was a few little ones throughout the episode where I didn't care. I really didn't care. But then, there was some Star Wars things in there that I thought were cool. Like that opening 10 minutes, that was cool. Yeah, I like the little tease at Thrawn and all that sort of thing. But that doesn't really make the episode good, Like, it's like saying Rogue One is good because 3PO and R2 are in it. It's like, okay. Like, it's,
Right,
do you know
right.
what I mean? It's not,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think that's quite a valid argument. And I agree with what you said about the shortcuts. It just does feel like so many shortcuts have been taken to get here. It's like finishing a 10-kilometer race and it's like, great, you finished, but I skipped 8 kilometers of it. It's like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess you finished, but you didn't really run the whole race.
Right.
Always nicer to run the whole race, I suppose. So yeah, the episode hasn't changed my thoughts on the season at all. If anything, I think they've just validated how I feel about it, because it does just still feel like a mess to me. But yeah, there were things I like. I really liked the Grogu and IG-12 thing. I thought that was cute. I loved the yes no buttons. That was a really nice thing. And a moment that I will admit actually did make me feel something was when Grogu stopped Paz and Axe Woves from fighting. I thought, oh, okay, I like that a lot. That Grogu's the one that steps in and says, "Come on, like that's enough." Like that made me feel something. I think while I think Grogu in some sense has been sidelined at times this season as well, that moment did manage to capture my interest, I suppose. But then, yeah, a few random thoughts. Like, I mean, there's a lot of talk about the armor online that she's a bit sus in terms of her allegiance,
Right.
which I actually hope they do go down that path, because a note that I wrote after the episode was the armorer's decision to be okay with other Mandos taking their helmets off still doesn't make any sense. There was nothing in there for the as evidence to the armorer to be like, you know what? Actually, it is okay for people to remove their helmet. It literally just went from she felt that way and then she didn't. There was nothing in between. It just said, Bo-Katan, remove your helmet. So
That's what I have
if
written down too. Yeah.
yeah, if she does end up being like betraying them or whatever, I would actually like that, because it would make sense to me, because right now it makes zero sense. Yeah, I still can't believe we skipped that whole arc for Gideon. I thought that could have been so interesting. And seeing him escape, that would have been a cool moment to get to, and seeing how it played out instead of, oh, Beskar alloy, and then realizing it was his special enforcers or whatever. But yeah, and then I mean, I hate to say it, but characters like Gideon, the armorer, they just feel so one-dimensional to me. Paz Vizsla, it feels like there's a one-way streak with them, and that's all it is. That's all they do. Moff Gideon just says the same lines every time he's on screen. It feels like,
Yeah.
you have something I want. Long live the Empire. Yada yada yada. We get it, man. I don't know. He's not a very captivating villain to me. I'm excited for Thrawn to get into the mix. But yeah, I guess all in all, like I said, it just validates how I feel that Mando season 3 is just a watered down version of what we got these previous two seasons. But
And
the episode was still fun.
yeah, and the bar is so high. So it's
True.
very hard to it's very hard to compare. It's
Yeah.
it's maybe unfair, but it's also like, well, you guys set the precedent. It's kind
Yeah.
of fair, because the
Yeah.
tweet that you tweeted out about the kids, or about the toys and stuff, is a discussion we had yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it just feels like cool. Like, no more Dark Troopers. Great. We got like a new box of soldiers, and now they're gonna
Yeah.
be like the Imperial soldiers. It's like, great. I've done this
Yeah.
storyline as a kid
Updated
so
Grogu
many
toy,
times.
updated Gideon toy,
Exactly.
Praetorian guards, put those in there. It's like, oh,
Exactly. It just feels like a storyline that I probably did when I was 9 or 10, with my own toys. So, and which is okay, because Star Wars, I don't want, Star Wars doesn't have to be like Andor. I don't want it to be like Andor all the time. I would hate it if it was like Andor all the time,
yeah,
because I love my
absolutely agree.
Star Wars goofiness. I love my Star Wars animated like feel to. I mean, not just, I'm not talking about animation, but I'm just talking about like just goofiness, cartoony, like,
Yeah, we
and
love
we've
our
gotten
fighter
that.
fights of the world.
And I love when Mando gets goofy and everything, but it's just like the Frog Lady episode in season 2. That's a
Yeah.
great episode. I will defend the episode for my life. That is a great
I'm with you.
episode, and I'm so
Yeah.
glad we got it, because it was just we're already going so fast in the season, and it was just like a, let's sit down and chill for a bit and just have some good old Star Wars fun. So, and to me, this whole season has been jarringly, just, I don't want to say bad, but just it just felt directionless, and it still feels directionless. Where it's like, yes, this is the point we got to, but it's like, where it's like doing, as you guys would say, maths. But it's like doing like math, and your math teacher coming up like, how did you get the answer? You didn't show any work. Here's the answer, because you cheated. But it's like, where's the work?
Yeah,
Where's the
that's a great analogy. Yeah,
So that's what it feels like to me. I'm the math teacher right now. I'm like, this is great. You got the answer, but where the hell is the work? So
yeah,
that's what
yeah,
I feel. But like I said, I still had this episode. Like I said, it's the great result. It's the solution. But
yeah,
where's the work? That's all I'll
yeah.
say before we dive in.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. I think, I mean, we're sort of diving into the episode now. Let's talk about the title, The Spies, because it doesn't really make any sense, but I think we're meant to think that. We've got the woman at the start of the episode. We know she's a spy, but there's not two spies. So a lot of people are talking about, the armorer definitely seems suspicious. Axe Woves, it could be one of the Mandalorians. What's going on there? What do you think that title's about? Do you think we should be looking at a character?
I'm looking at different characters because everybody was
Yeah.
very sus in this episode. The armor, the Mando pirates. How the hell are you traversing on the surface of Mandalore and you don't see an arsenal being brought in and all these ships and hangars being built? How do you not see
Yeah.
them and like, oh, we could lead you right to it?
Yeah, exactly.
And you're
That's
telling me
very suspicious.
you're on this sailboat and you don't see anything going on? Any
Yeah.
you said you've been there before and you don't see any movement being like, why are there star destroyers dropping off? Oh my gosh. We'll lead you right there. So to me,
Yeah.
very suspicious. The armor,
Hmm.
you were talking about it. I
Yeah.
wrote in my notes, the armor has been very insistent this entire season. What's the deal? As you were
Yeah.
saying
She
with
also disappears at a very convenient time.
no, exactly. No, she was like, I'm telling you, insistent. She was like, or
Yeah.
I should say persistent. She was like, oh, Bo-Katan was like, oh, we should get ready to move by dawn or something. And the armor's like, oh, these are guys are way too hurt. I'll take them back. We'll make it to the gauntlet, and I'll take them back up to the fleet. And in the start of the episode, she's like, I'll go. And it's like, I thought she never goes anywhere. So I'm like, why is she going all of a sudden?
Yeah.
And then she gets right out of the action right in time. So in all season, she's been like, Bo-Katan, come with us, join us. Perfect. Like not even giving it a second thought. Even everybody else was confused. She, without a second thought, she brought him in there. She brought her
Yeah.
in there. And then as you said, the whole helmet thing, take it off. It's like, what? So I'm very, if it's her, as you were saying, I was watching the episode today and I was like, I really hope it's her because it would clear a lot of confusion up.
Yeah.
So
Definitely. And that would be something that they probably set up in a good way, because we're all like, yeah, why did she just suddenly change that decision? And then like, well, we've actually got an answer to that. That would be really refreshing. Um,
exactly. Yeah.
and yeah, because I guess to sort of theorize on why it could be that she would betray them, my instant thoughts are she kind of believes, oh, well, all of Mandalore has lost its way. We're kind of depleted anyway. I prefer Mandalore not exist than people like Bo-Katan running around with the Darksaber and her helmet off. You know what I mean? So I can see maybe that's her justification of why she would assist the Empire in almost wiping them out. And also that she just sort of has been set up as this sort of villain character for a while. And I think on a podcast recently, I was saying like I really thought she was, but then my mind just changed because Jin came back and she was totally cool with it. But maybe she was that was almost her breaking point. Jin going into the waters, being like, "Oh, damn, he really found his way around that one." Yeah, I'm done
Yep.
with this thing. You know what I mean? So I don't know. What do you think of that?
Yeah. I don't know. She's been sketchy to me. I really liked her in season one, but then did we even see her in season two?
No, not until the
No,
Book of
right?
Boba.
Not
Yeah,
so in Book of Boba, she was very sketch, where she just let
mm,
Paz and Din duke it out for the dark saber, and she was just watching. I mean, it's part of the culture, but I'm like, she is just sketch. And then she asked, like, "Have you ever removed your helmet?" I have. Then you are no longer Mandalorian. It's like,
yeah,
what? Like she just turned on him so quick. So
yeah,
I'm very, very curious to see how it all plays out with her because, like I said, if she turns out to be the villain, I would so like believe it. I would be like, "Yep, this has made sense from the start." She's a cultist and all that, and she. I mean, I don't as per her motivations. I don't know what they would be to turn to Gideon, but I could definitely see it where, I mean, she was separated from the rest of Mandalore for all these years, and it's like Din was trying to bring everyone together with Bo-Katan and Bo-Katan and her clan, and she's just like, let's eliminate them. Maybe she wanted like a truce, like you eliminate Bo-Katan, Kreese, and her people, and you save us, you spare us, because it was Bo-Katan's castle that got bombed. not the covert of the armor, you know. So we'll see.
No, exactly right. Yeah. Let's talk about that first 10 minutes because that was our reintroduction to Gideon. He's suddenly escaped and he's having a meeting with the Council of the Imperials, I'll just call it. I know they had a name for it in the episode, but
Shadow Council.
that's the one. We see Hux's dad was in there. We see Captain Pelion who is obviously closely aligned to Thrawn, which they talk about. I don't remember any other familiar faces, but this was a cool scene. I think it was a little bit, my enjoyment was tinted a bit just the whole time thinking, oh man, we really did skip that whole Gideon arc. But the scene in itself was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. I liked, I liked that Thrawn is sort of getting set up. Obviously, it doesn't make the episode great or anything, but I was like, okay, so we sort of talked about this yesterday. It's like I don't want him to be mentioned all the time. Just like, oh, Thrawn's coming, because it gets a little old, and we know he's coming, so it's not like they need to set it up anyway.
Right.
But this was the best way they've done it, in my opinion, because we learned a lot and they executed us learning that in a great way. I thought it was a very cool scene to watch, so I enjoyed it quite a bit. Although that probe droid on Coruscant, I was like, man, gee, that is just not subtle at all, but okay. Anyway, what did you think of the opening sequence?
Yeah, the opening sequence was great. It felt like a because the Shadow Council is actually from the Aftermath trilogy. I found out, I was like, this feels familiar, but the only thing I was missing was Ray Sloan, Grand Admiral Ray Sloan. And
Right.
in the book, she has like a scene just like kind of Moff Gideon. In the book, she has a scene like Moff Gideon, but and I think we got like little hints towards that during the Squadron game, if I remember correctly. I don't know, but anyways, yeah, that was really cool to see. Like it just expanded our view because I was telling this to a friend today. I was very frustrated with season 1 of Mandalorian because I didn't like when 2019 rolled around, I had like read almost all the books, read almost all the comics, caught up on my Star Wars lore. Like I was a canon junkie. I was caught up with everything. And the Mandalorian timeline was not making sense for me. I'm like, the Battle of Jakku happens, the Empire is supposed to be wiped out, or a truce, a treaty was signed. What is going on? Why are there still stormtroopers? Why are there still this and that going on, when I'm like, I feel like at this point in time, or I'm like, where does this even take place? Because it took forever to hear John Favreau say it takes place like five, because he said it takes place like five AB. He said 5 years after the Battle of Yavin, and it's like, so a year, like it just didn't make sense. And people were like, I think he meant a year after or 5 years after the Battle of Endor is what he meant. So he misspoke. So anyways, like I was just very upset with season 1, like lore wise, because I was frustrated. I'm like, wait, the Mandalorians, like what happened to them? Like we last saw them in Rebels, they were fine. Like what's going on? Like it just felt like, even it felt like I was watching a whole new universe. So it was frustrating at times. However, seeing the full picture, as we've seen, even Book of Boba Fett, I'll give it whatever flack, but I really like that it expanded the view of Mandalore, and we saw the vision. I mean, like the flashbacks and everything, and that was super nice. That was cool. So anyways, this here answers a lot of questions that we had about like Moff. Like first we meet the client in season 1, and we're like, who is he working for? And then Moff Gideon was introduced in the penultimate episode of the season. And then after that, then we get, season 2, it's like Grand Admiral Thrawn's out there lurking. And then now season 3, seeing the Shadow Council before our eyes was very damn cool because it connected the sequel trilogy a bit to all this. So the only thing I needed was Ray Sloan up in there, who was introduced in A New Dawn, and then she was in all the comics and stuff, and then made her way into the Aftermath trilogy. That's the only one that I really wanted. But no, I thought it was a cool scene. It was very Maul on Mandalore, talking to the Shadow Collective boss and all that, Dryden boss, and the Black Sun and the Pikes. Like it just reminded me of that. But it just gave us a clue to what's going on here, and it really sets the stage for Thrawn's return. And funny enough, that day the episode came out, I had just started reading Heir to the Empire, because I'm like, I need to read this trilogy finally. It's like it's such a big deal because it's the first book that happens right after Return of the Jedi. So it's like, the first one ever written. So I'm like, I gotta read this, and I'm a big Thrawn fan too. And immediately the first chapter, it's Captain Pelion talking about Thrawn, and Battle of Endor could have ended so differently if Thrawn was there. And then in that scene, he's talking about like the galaxy would be so different if Thrawn was here. And then Moff Gideon's like, you keep talking about Thrawn, but where is he? And I was like, oh, he's gonna show up right now. But it was just cool because I had just started reading Heir to the Empire and got introduced to Pelion, and then literally he made his live action debut, and I was like, that is just crazy. Or even his debut in general because he was just mentioned before. But I was like,
Yeah.
damn, that. So I really ate the scene up, and I love that Gideon. I mean, sure, like he can be very like one beat and whatever, say the same things. But
Yeah.
here I was like, the thing that I loved about him was he was stating all his flaws, but stating everything that he needed and wanted. And they were just like, okay, cool, you'll get it. They were kind of making fun of him for a second, but then they gave it to him. He was like, Dr. Pershing, he's no longer in my hands, but he soon will be, or something like that. And then he stated everything he needed. It reminded me of Joker from The Dark Knight presenting to the mob, and they all laughing to him. Ari hasn't seen the movie in a long time, but everyone else knows what I'm talking about. So,
Yeah.
anyways, very cool opening. Set the stage for the episode, and yeah, I just ate that scene up.
Yeah.
But you're right.
Definitely.
What with Thrawn? I'm kind of scared about his comeback because it's like, what is he doing out there? I'm sure Dave Filoni, he's the one that wrote Rebels and everything, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
set that thing up. I'm like, where's Thrawn? Where's Ezra? Like, how does this make sense? We'll see.
Yeah.
But I do like that they're kind of taking shape the way the Herod of the Empire trilogy went. At least with the Thrawn story, it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Definitely.
he's the big bad guy. Herod to the Empire takes place 5 years after Battle of Endor, and so does this story. So I'm just like, I could see some of the parallels.
Yeah.
So very
No,
interesting.
it's nice that we're getting that Heir to the Empire like live action story being told, because that is, I know it's not that story, but at least an adaptation of it is cool for those fans that have been with that story since it came out,
Right.
which is not me. But yeah, no, the opening scene was good. Let's talk about IG-12. I'm curious what your thoughts are. I sort of already said what I thought. I thought it was nice. It was cute. Does feel like sort of just another Grogu action figure for them to sell, but it actually served the story quite well in this episode. So yeah, I like it, and I'm glad Grogu can't like speak fluently through IG-12. I'm glad that it's just yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, and they used it well for comedy, and then they used it well in a serious moment when he's separating the two and just spamming the no button. So yeah, I really liked it. What do you think?
No, I remember turning to you on the phone and just laughing because I absolutely ate it up. I was like,
Yeah,
this feels like we can sit here and be like, oh, Grogu, oh my god, so tired of Grogu, but
yeah,
him and Din are what made seasons 1 and 2 special.
exactly.
That's the secret formula to this series. That's what made it special. So when we got that, I was like, finally. I was like, I was dying for one of these scenes, even though I was very scared in season 2. I'm like, please don't overdo Grogu now that he's popular. But it's like, do it. Like, I absolutely loved that moment. And yesterday I made that point to you where when he stops Axe and Paz from fighting, I'm like, yes, finally, there's something there. His character got to shine, not just for a funny moment, but he got to shine in that moment. It's like, yes. But anyways, the first scene here, the yes no thing was hilarious, and then when they were just walking around, it was just like, no, no, no. It was just so funny. And I know Taika Waititi probably had a great time in studio or just even on a phone, just being like, all right, do yes, yes, do no, no. All right, thanks, Taika. Talk to you soon. Hope could have fun working on your film. It's like, I'm sure that was a fun
Yeah.
conversation, but
For a second, I thought you were like being serious, like, "Oh, I'm sure he had a great time in the studio recording." Yes, and now I'm like, man, he had 2 lines.
oh my god. I mean, hey, 2 lines,
You never know.
obviously they
Maybe
clipped
he
it
did have
from,
fun in the studio.
you never know. But but yeah, it was just I ate that up, and I loved the whole fruit stand thing where he was like, or the stand thing where he was getting food and didn't have to pay for it. Like that was just
Yeah,
that was good old.
and we love the May Run shout out as well.
Oh, we do. Every time
Yeah,
that fruit comes up, I'm like, yep, all fruit, all for fruit.
valid.
So,
And people still call that episode filler, man. I'm telling
oh
you.
man, I
Come on now.
character development right in your face in the most kiddie way, and still people couldn't get it. That's insane to me.
Yeah. You know who you are if we're talking to.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, no, IG-12 was cool. What do you think of the Mandalorian sort of all uniting? Obviously, there was a bit of tension, but I thought this was cool. I quite liked the shot of. I think it was like a wide shot of the non-helmets and the helmets sort of walking
Yeah.
into one. I thought that was just a cool piece of cinematography. Um, yeah, I vibed with it. How do you feel?
Same way, and this was another payoff that I'm like, in season one, I was just so frustrated. I'm like, what's this rule that they can't take their helmets off? I mean,
Yeah,
obviously they're not retconning anything because there's Boba Fett, Jango Fett. We've seen their faces hundreds of times. So I'm like, what's going on?
yeah,
So this was nice to like finally get those two in the room together. Um, and and I absolutely love when Bo-Katan was telling us the state of Mandalore. Because it was just like, yeah, like tell it to the audience because we're confused because there's no empire there, at least what we knew. There's no empire there, there's no enemies, but she was just like, yeah, it's become a barren wasteland. There's people, migrants who have moved there, or the explosions have woken up animals, creatures, and we have to fight them. So it's like, okay, cool. She had a plan and everything, but I thought this unification was really. I thought it was really cool. Like I said, it was the blending of two worlds, and it looked very tense for a second. But like I said, I wish Bo-Katan was the one to say like people of Mandalore, but it
yeah. I
had to
know it
be
was
the
weird that it had to
armor.
be the armor. Yeah,
Yeah, I was just like Bo-Katan, the armor has never been with these people. You have been with both. You've
yeah.
lived
And
with
the armor
both.
is the one that said, She will be a bridge for all Mandalorians," or something
Exactly.
like that. Yeah.
So I was very like, Bo-Katan, what are you doing? So
Mm.
I don't know. But besides that, like it was just visually it was cool, and seeing the ships come in over Navarro was so damn cool, especially after like the citizens were like, "Oh, is this another pirate attack?" And it was just like, no, it was just cool scene. But it's like this is again, this is a family show, so you're just gonna get everything in your face. But when the droid was talking to Grief Karga, being like,
Oh,
magistrate, high magistrate, and Greek cargo. No, that is, that's a captured Imperial ship. That is not a Star Destroyer. That's a light cruiser. Look at the symbol that has under. It's captured and liberated. It's like, yeah, thank you for explaining it to us. We
yeah.
know, we know. It's
Another
just it
character
has
that's pretty one-dimensional to me.
everything has
Mando!
to be explained.
Oh, he has like 5 lines, and that's about it. Oh,
Everything
the
has to
little
be
guy, the
explained.
little green guy. Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So Navarro this season I thought I would really love, but I'm just like, why are we here?
yeah.
Navarro has always felt like home,
Mm,
in the sense that like in Rebels when we'll go back to Lothal, it's like, oh, even when it was
home.
in this disastrous state, it was just like feels like we're home, and that's what
Yeah,
Navarro has kind of felt like to me when we went back in season two. I was like, yeah, we're back in Navarro,
yeah,
and season three has just not communicated all that well for me. That
yeah,
so, you
absolutely.
know,
Yeah. Moving on to a part of the episode which I really really liked. It was a moment between Din and Bo-Katan. They were
yes,
talking on that pirate ship thing, and I don't know exactly what was said, but it was something along the lines of, you know, what makes you such a great leader to me is that, you know, loyalty. And he lists all these traits that are like, yes, those are good traits for a person to have. Um, and it's almost as if those traits, yeah, that is the way. This is the way. The way you're leading, this is the way. Wearing your helmet, that's not the way. I mean, it can be, but like that's not what's important to the Mandalorian religion. So I thought that was great. And I was thinking in my head, I was like, a scene that would be so cool in the finale. I don't know if they'll do this, but something along the lines of the armorer betrays them, and then Din comes in being like, well, that was the crazy cult lady that made us all wear our helmets, like, and saying loyalty, compassion, all this stuff. This is the way, and then he takes his helmet off, or something like that. You know what I mean? As if to
Right.
say, this is what's important, and this is what's not important. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Or like the way, even the way the helmetless Mandalorians follow the Darksaber rule. That's not important. That's not what makes being a Mandalorian important. You know, what makes being a Mandalorian important is sacrifice, loyalty, all the stuff that he talks about. So I thought that was a really powerful moment. Yet, once again, it was something that fell a little flat for me just because of everything that's come before. And also, it's like, I think it's leading up to this, but the fact that he's saying all that while still wearing his helmet feels a little ironic. You know what I mean? But I do think it's leading up to a moment like I described. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, no, I think he was talking about, all the, I guess, just the worst moment, or he could kind of start to see about the flaws of the cult he's in and stuff. So I felt like that was like a moment that it was just refreshing to see, I guess, just because
Yeah.
it seems like we're never gonna almost seems like we're never gonna see Din remove his helmet at this point, but it was like a step in the right direction. And
Yeah.
Bo-Katan even was like kind of stunned that, and he like fully submitted. He was like, I follow you, Lady Kreese or something. And I was like, it just gave me chills. I was like, oh, it reminded me of Sabine and Rebels being like, I stumbled upon this dark saber to give to you. Um, and it's like you're the one that will lead us. And it was just like full submission, and Bo-Katan being like noticing the weight of what she was carrying and being like, I carry this for all my clans and all my people and whatnot. And it's just, this season has been interesting to say the least, to see her
Yeah.
struggle with getting that power back. Or just in the recent episodes, because I mean she just got the last episode, the dark saber, but it's been kind of cool this episode just seeing her like take a step back and just like watching, like, it's a bit frustrating because I said it's just insane at this point because she just
Yeah.
is not stepping in places she should be. But it's just like, yeah, I think like, okay. In Rebels, I was very scared that Sabine was gonna end up with the dark saber when obviously it should go to Bo-Katan. I was very scared about that. I was like, like I hope they don't give it to Sabine just because she's like one of the main characters here. I hope it goes to Bo-Katan. Rebels respected that. Mandalorian, I was like, we spend so much time with Din where I'm like, it would almost make sense, and also because of Bo-Katan's past failures, that it would be with the Darksaber would end up with Din, and he would be the one to unite because he had already taken off his helmet and everything. And I was like, this makes the most sense. And even when he was saying about a Grogu, he didn't care. He took off his helmet for Grogu. And so I'm like, he could be the one that unites Mandalore. But it's like we give it back to the person who has failed Mandalore. And as we learned in the next couple of scenes, that she submitted to Moff Gideon and surrendered.
Yeah.
And we learned, so she's just been on this arc where Bo loses Mandalore to Maul, Bo loses Mandalore to the Empire, Bo loses the Mandalore to Gideon, Bo loses just it's just like she's been on a losing streak, bruh. She's been on a losing streak, and we keep giving her the opportunity. It's like, this is insane for all of you guys. I understand her royal ties, but this is starting to be insane. Like, this is, you
Yeah.
guys are, we're not going to get a different result here, I don't think. So
Yeah.
every time we meet her, she's just lost the dark saber, and we get confirmation here that she lost it to Gideon. Like, she surrendered and everything. Because in season 2, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, they fought and everything, and he defeated her. No, she surrendered. I mean, for the betterment of her people, but she surrendered. And it's like, why do we? I don't know. So this scene to me was very appreciative because it was nice to dig in finally into what Din was thinking and spending some
Yeah.
time with Din.
Exactly. Because
But
now we know. Yeah. And
exactly.
honestly, sorry to interject, but honestly, while
Yeah.
we're on it, I hope they destroy the dark saber, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I think that the helmet rule, I hope they Luke Skywalker it and throw it over the edge, but this time it goes into the water and it's lost forever. Because shout out to my Last Jedi haters. Anyway, no, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Oh
I love the
no.
Last Jedi. Anyway, I hope it gets a similar treatment because, by the way, I actually do love the Last Jedi. I feel like people are gonna turn on me for that. Yeah, because so the helmets, that's what the cult or the armorers group is. Oh, they're all about that, right? The helmet rule. That is what makes you a Mandalorian. And then the helmetless Mandalorians are very much like, look at them following these ridiculous rules, but oh no, but you can't have the Darksaber because you didn't admit defeat. And it's like it's like, well, you have ridiculous rules as well. And I would love if, I don't know, maybe this is more of a series finale thing than a season finale, but if all the Mandalorians could unite to say, this is what it means to be a Mandalorian, the things that Din was talking about. And we don't need, like, I guess the Darksaber, yeah, it's a sign of leadership or whatever, but why does the sign of leadership need to be a weapon as well? I know having weapons is part of my religion, and we've heard that line a million times, but I don't think it has to be. I think we when it comes down to it, we know what being a Mandalorian is about. It's about honor. It's about loyalty, all this stuff. And I'd love if the characters would unify in that and say the same way that they're all going to take their helmets off, I hope, is the same way we can get rid of the Darksaber. I think Darksaber's been an awesome thing in Star Wars, but I think it served its purpose. And I think that would be very powerful to straight up get rid of it, because there has been so much talk about, or not so much, there's been a decent amount of talk about it this season about what it means to have the Darksaber and all this stuff, and to say, you know what, that's actually not what matters right now. Throw it over the edge.
Right. 100%. Because, like I said, it's all redundant to me at this point. Like Rebels, it was so cool to see Bo-Katan back and get this like more sad Bo-Katan than we last seen her in the Lawless of Clone Wars, and then we got to go back to and it just felt like a new start. Did I expect her to keep the Empire off Mandalore? No, but it's just, then we meet her again in Mandalore, and it just feels like it's the same place we found her in Rebels. It's like,
exactly.
What are we doing? So and then
running around in circles.
And then she fell down again when she lost the Darksaber to Din, really, because she's not the one that got to fight him. And then her team left her, and she was just like, I'm done fighting. And it's just like, she's just been on the downfall. And not to say like, on your fifth try you can't get it right, but it's like, you struck out for me. Like, I'm just like, I love Bo-Katan, as you can tell.
Yeah,
that was look from Hasbro, but damn, like, I'm just like, as a people here, why do we keep putting our faith into her? Like, even if it was the armor, it's like, yeah, let's support her. Maybe, very flawed character, but I'm like, let's support someone new. It would be less insane to keep supporting the character that keeps failing everybody. So, just my take. Don't get mad at me.
Good take. Let's finish off here by talking about the ending of the episode. So obviously Din gets captured. The implications of that will be quite interesting. Paz Vizsla dies, and look, I might get hate for this, but honestly, thank God that character never struck me ever. Just, I'm gonna be honest, he never made any sense to me. He would change his mind every 2 seconds, and we got no powerful of that because he's dead now. At least I hope so. But I thought, I never connected with that character, and I thought he was real goofy, and not in a fun Star Wars way, in a just, you're goofy type way. So, but I thought they did him well. He went out in a blaze of glory and went out the hero. And the way he said, this is the way, that was powerful. He wasn't saying this is the way to wearing his helmet. He was saying, this is the way, sacrificing my life for the greater good. I like that a lot. So, glad to see he's gone. Yeah. And then, the Praetorian Guards, of course, that was super cool to see. They were sort of a blend between the Royal Guards and the Praetorians we see in Last Jedi. Once again, shout out Last Jedi. But
damn, you are a Last Jedi lover. I did not know this.
I'm not a Last Jedi lover, but I definitely don't hate it. It's very overhated.
I'll watch it with you in person one day. We'll do that.
Let's do it. But yeah, anyway, so to close out the episode, I thought it was good. There's a decent amount of intrigue going into next week, but overall, I say it just hasn't struck me the way, you brought up last night. Remember how we felt when at the end of episode 7 of season 1, where Quill is, we see him dead, and it's like, wow, I need to watch the next episode. You know what I mean? Whereas I did not get this feeling from that episode at all. While there is some interest there, I'm excited in some sense to watch it. But the ending was cool. What do you think?
I mean, even the ending of The Believer, when Mando's hologram comes up, he's like, Moff Gideon. Oh, so good. It's like, what happens next? So good. When I was watching it with my parents, they're like, oh, like, we want to watch this. Like, let's watch the finale right now. I'm like, it's an hour. Like, well, let's watch it right now. Yeah. But anyways,
you could aim so many penultimate episodes like that. Mustafar is where rebels go to die.
So good.
Like the Ahsoka and Ezra season 2. Just so good stuff like that.
I guess there was the Praetorian Guard here at this moment when they killed Paz. That's like, ooh. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. It's like, how many times are we gonna see weapons that pierce Beskar armor? We've seen it in Rebels, which was very unique. I love that walker that can just turn Mandalorians
Yeah.
into ash. They could have revived that and made it interesting, but it's like, okay, great. We got the Praetorians up in there. Awesome. Anyways, the ending was cool. Paz, I was like, yeah, eat dirt, because this character has been so annoying this season. So
Mm-hmm.
annoying.
Mm-hmm.
I like them more as a background character. I the only time I liked him was in
Mm-hmm.
episode 3 of season 1, where he's flying, he goes to, then like he
Yeah.
gives him the salute,
Agreed.
and then he
Yeah.
keeps flying, and it just looks like Rocketeer, Disney's Rocketeer movie, and that was such a cool reference. But other
Agreed.
than that, other than looking like a cool action figure in someone's collection, I never gave one F about him. And you think they would have done something interesting because his last name was Vizsla, but it's like, even an interesting conversation with him and Bo could have been had. But it's like, no, no one cares, unfortunately.
No one cares, but Thrawn's coming soon.
Yeah, forget everything else. Um,
Yeah.
but the ending was a bit frustrating. I mean, the ending was very cool in action sequences, but Bo-Katan was pounding on the glass like, no, no. When it's like, hello, you have the dark saber, you can cut through,
Oh my god. Yeah.
but we're gonna no, no. It was
But
very
it's like
silly.
I don't know if they could have cut through the blast doors, but even try. Just
She
try.
cut through the blast doors at the end to escape.
That was are you sure that the blast door at the back, that was a blast door?
Yeah,
Yeah, right. Well,
it shut
there you
them
go.
in.
Okay, yeah. Well, you're right. Oh yeah, no. Absolutely. You're 100% right. I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
But anyways, yeah. So, anyways, the ending was a bit silly to me, and Paz did not need to sacrifice himself because they were all away. He just didn't have to sacrifice himself, but whatever. I mean, just we needed a way to show the Praetorian guards without revealing them to everybody else. So, but
Yeah.
it was but the moment that Moff Gideon walked out with the horn helmet, I was like, great, an updated Black Series figure in my collection, cool. But there was one thing that he said that was very interesting. He said that he was aggregating the best of each, of the Jedi, the cloners, and Mandos to create an army like the galaxy has never seen.
Yeah.
So is that so now we get some direction why they want the Grogu. Why would they want Grogu? Maybe they want the midi
Yeah.
chlorians or
That makes
whatever.
sense.
And
Cloning
then
a Jedi, that makes sense. Yeah.
at the beginning of the episode, we seen him walking against clone tanks, and then the cloners and Mando. So yeah, it's very scary to see where he's going. He's a visionary. I love Moff Gideon, as one
Count
dimensional as
Dooku
he can
was a
be.
visionary.
Oh my god. Yeah, I forgot about that line, but Moff Gideon is a visionary.
Yeah.
Anyways, before I wrap up here, I just want to say, nice to get confirmation that the Children of the Watch is a splinter faction of Death Watch. Very
Mm,
cool to finally get that confirmation.
mm.
Um, the fleet amassing to Mandalore was totally the Clone Wars Siege of Mandalore vibes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
uh, yeah, that I think that's about it in my notes. Yeah, other than that, I'm ready for a rating to give this
Yeah.
episode.
Let's do it. You go first.
No, you go first.
I was saying you go first. So I could think, but I'll do it now.
I have
Okay.
mine.
Okay. I'm gonna say it's so hard to rank. I'm gonna give two rankings though. The episode by itself is a. I'll be generous. It's an 8 by itself. In the context of the season, it's probably a 6.5, 6. I don't know. So maybe I'll just say the episode's a 7. How about you?
I think I the score I have here written down is 8.5, and I'll stick to that.
Wow, very generous today.
I mean,
No,
sure,
don't worry.
but
I'll cop the hate for that. Yeah, very nice. Well, that does just about wrap us up. Thanks for tuning in as always, guys. A few things. We're really trying to get to 1,000 subs on YouTube. So if you're someone that listens to the podcast but isn't subscribed, please do so. We're also, Mike and I are meeting very soon, and we have a goal. We want to get to 500 followers on Instagram by then. We're about 60 away. So if you're not following the SW Exchange on Instagram down here, do so. We'd really appreciate it. Also, make sure you give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Write a review if you enjoy the show. We really appreciate that. Mike, where can the people find you until next week?
all_Star Wars. And next week we have quite the show for you guys. It's confirmed. Talk to him today. Parks is coming back. Our tour for the finale, as we like to keep tradition. And we'll probably do a live stream for that. So everyone can join us and everything. So join us next week. If you want to be live in the chat and yell at us about our opinions, you can do so. But you guys have to follow
get updates on that live stream at the SW Exchange on Instagram.
Exactly. Follow that page for time updates and everything. So follow me there. And also I'm on Twitter if you want to see me yell at the sky too, like everybody else.
Yeah, for sure. And you can find me at Star Wars_Exchange if you want to yell at me in my comment section, or on Twitter at the SW Exchange. Yeah, I'm a lot of mid takes on the hate train apparently. So let's go. Shout out, Mando. See you all next week for the live stream. Adios. May the Force be with you.